Welcome to today's show. I'm with Mike Koenigs. Mike, welcome.
Thanks. Really nice being here today with you, Alan.
So, Mike, for the listeners here, you've done quite a bit in your life in the world on entrepreneurism, but can you give a background to the listeners of your life journey, what brought you up to where you are today?
Sure. Born and raised in a very small town in Minnesota, Eagle Lake, Minnesota. My dad's a barber. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. Sent to Catholic school for 12 years, and I was an altar boy for many of those, and always loved entrepreneurship. In fact, my dad was a consummate entrepreneur himself. Besides being a barber, he was the city clerk, the building inspector, also a very talented entertainer. So he played music at every retirement home, and he was just a funny, nice, kind man. And but we didn't have money. And I did not particularly feel like I belonged in Little Eagle Lake, Minnesota. We had population 763. So at an early age, I started mowing lawns, painting, shoveling snow, had a paper route. And on my 16th birthday, I started working full-time at the local gas station. The owner was on my paper route. And then I also taught myself how to program, and I decided that was my way out of small town, and I taught myself how to write video games. So if you advance a little bit, I wound up starting a company called Digital Cafe. We were one of the first digital marketing agencies in the world in Minneapolis. That got acquired by the Interpublic Group, IPG. And then I started 2 software companies. One was called Traffic Geyser. The other was Instant Customer. So along the way, I learned marketing because I love to market. I love to sell. But I also wanted to explore what would it take to create recurring income. And at the time, software or SaaS was that. And somewhere along the way, I got cancer. I had diagnosed with stage 3A colorectal cancer that just about killed me. And then I started another company called You Everywhere Now, where we help people build platforms. I sold that a couple of years ago, and now I just work with business owners and create brands. I help them find money in their businesses, create the messages that enable them to get it ethically and in a fun way and in a repeatable way. And so one thing I learned about myself along the journey is I don't like running companies. I like starting them. So now I get to start a lot of companies with business owners and find creative ways to build and grow their businesses without having to run them.
You know, Mike, you have a remarkable career in starting several companies and assisting others through their life journey as they fulfill their visions. There was a period of time, though, when you felt something wasn't quite right. Something was missing and that you needed to reinvent yourself. Can you walk through that process of, why did you have the feeling and how did you respond to that?
Well, I know I was talking to Dan Sullivan about this, and he felt I had 7 reinventions. So I'm not going to bore you with all of them, but there's something that all of them have in common. So this is a joking, not joking statement, which is my first business cost me my first marriage. My second and third almost cost me my life. And I really found what my own limitations were along the way, which was I wasn't good at managing the stress. I never enjoyed managing people. I liked getting my hands dirty, working with people, and also I got bored fast. That's the truth. And the nature of business and the nature of life is it's very, very cyclical. So I'd say the most important thing was I reached a point where I felt like I was dying inside if I kept on doing what I was doing. And I had to find a way to honor what I think was my soul and my purpose along the way. And growing up in a little tiny town in Minnesota didn't teach us a lot about being honest with ourselves. There was a lot of cookie cookie cutter mentality about, the way life should be, and we followed certain rules and suppressed a lot of our emotions. And I look at my parents, kind, beautiful, wonderful people who lived in a state of denial a lot of the time. And I couldn't do that. I felt like I'd be dying inside if I didn't honor whatever that urge was.
When you went through this process, then how did you pull yourself up? Say, okay, I'm going to do this in a different way. I'm going to re-energize my life, because, we live in this pandemic today where there's a constant change in the barrage of information load going into people's minds. A lot of people are feeling that. So maybe your advice to the person who says, how do I reinvent myself? What would you say to them?
Well, I'm going to give you my last major reinvention because I think it's most applicable. And my suspicion is it probably will reach your audience from an age perspective too. So my last big one happened about 3.5 years ago. And I had been running a company that in a lot of ways I loved. After having software business and which was big, expensive, a lot of things could break at any given time, I got really interested in the new publishing model. Amazon allowed books to be published. And so we helped business owners write books and become best-selling authors. 1,800 people went through our programs. We taught them how to speak and sell from stage, how to turn their IP into products, so how to create products, then how to coach, consult, advise, and then finally we media trained. So I had a 9-set studio in San Diego where people would come in and we'd teach them how to present and perform on camera, how to speak properly, and we did photos. We create all their media materials. But the business process broke badly. We depended on Facebook advertising and YouTube advertising and automated funnels. And periodically the algorithm breaks, but we had two bad things happen at once. One of them was Facebook changed their algorithm. And the second thing is our ad agency just quit and didn't tell me and left a bunch of ads running. And I woke up one day, I was $150,000 upside down with no traffic, no sales to show for it. And it hurt. And I had this dark night of the soul moment that I couldn't articulate then, but I can now, which is I had outgrown who I was, what I did, why I did it, and who I did it for. I felt trapped and empty. And the way that business ran, it was kind of a bit of a personality business. It was me on stage being a character. And we had systems and processes, but in order to get it to the next level, it would have required a lot of work. And to make things worse, I had signed contracts for almost 2 years worth of hotel agreements, which you've got to personally guarantee. So if I were to shut down the business, I would have had to write a check for like $1.5 million. And I wasn't prepared to do that. And for the first time that I know of in my life, I had physical chemical depression. Like I felt like I wanted to be dead. It was that dark. And, in my way, I felt like I have no right to feel that way. I have a beautiful wife. I've got my son, I've done well, blah, blah, blah. But it's like when your brain chemicals are off, they're off. And I just didn't see a way out. And fortunately, I had some coaches, some advisors. I was open and honest with them. And for whatever reason, I figured out a creative way to unravel my very complex business and shut it down elegantly. And then out of the blue, someone showed up and bought all my products and the business while I wound it down elegantly. But it took about 10 months, which is shorter than I thought. But the bottom line is, if I had a message for someone, it's first of all, you've got to get a coach in your life. Ideally one who's been through what you're going through. And you got to be honest with yourself and really trust your feelings. You know, when everything inside of you is saying this is wrong. I think when I got cancer, I think I had a lot of unmanaged emotions that manifested as a disease. And I really think that there is an emotional cause to physical disease, and you've just got to honor your soul.
It's a very powerful statement, and I appreciate you sharing that today, as I know there are several listeners that will gravitate towards that, Mike, and understand they're not the only ones that have gone through.
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
You nailed it, Alan. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone.
So moving through all this, you push forward. Let's go and talk about your current company, Superpower Accelerator. I love the name.
Thank you.
The name says it all. So tell us about that and how it works.
Well, here I have it running behind me. There you go. So here's the short answer is this. Every business owner I've ever met knows that they could be telling their stories better, attracting better customers. They could be upgrading themselves, and they're leaving money on the table. And they'd also like to find a way to produce recurring income or revenue and attract a better customer, or work with. If I said to you, if you only worked with 2% of your top clients and customers and spent 99% of your time in your superpower, what would that look like? And of course, I get barraged with all sorts of really great answers. You know, here's what it would look like. And then also, you know, you talk to someone and a business owner, and they feel like they have to be there to do the pitch, or they're going to do it better than someone else. They don't feel like there's replication. They haven't monetized their IP, or they'd like to spend more time sharing wisdom and messages and not running the business, right? That's what every business owner has in common. Either all those or most of them. And so that's basically what we do. Is we first of all find opportunities in a business that are not being monetized and find the most effective way to craft the marketing, the messaging, or what we call conversion collateral to make that happen. And on a personal side, one thing that this is part of a way of honoring myself, and my team as well. You know, we've got a team. It's not all about me. I've got a great team, but I don't like running companies, but I love starting them. So this is a way that I can help a business start a profitable business within a business and do it very successfully without me having to run it. So it's sort of like my best superpower is given to you, and you get to take advantage of it. And it's fun because we work. It's super intense. We're like a Delta Force team that comes in and does stuff that is very rare inside an organization. The founder loves it because they're moving forward, and it's profitable too.
You know, you mentioned your coach, Dan Sullivan. What impact can a vision with a vision coach have in your life? You know, how does Dan interplay with you?
All right. Well, I have a slightly unique relationship with Dan. I've known him 15 years. I've been part of coach. This is my 8th year. And I've had plenty of coaches. Like, I've been in a lot of groups. And I call Dan a combination of a best friend, brother, father, grandfather, mentor, all rolled in one. And we do a podcast together as well, which the beauty of that is I get to be around this genius a couple times a month, usually, to create our content. And I get to selfishly ask him questions that I want to know about, or when I hear business owners struggling with something, I get to frame that and ask the story and collaborate with him. So I think that's call that one level, which is the personal. That's kind of hard to get to because, building a relationship with Dan takes a lot of time. And it needs to feel collaborative to him as well. And on the other side, out of all the coaching mastermind groups, etc., I belong to, I found it to be the most valuable because of the shortcuts, the thinking, the intellectual shortcuts. Every single meeting, we get a new tool. In this case, Dan will have like a new book. I just had one sitting on my desk here. Inside is a scorecard, and everything he does is driven by mindsets. And you start thinking differently about the problems that exist inside your life. And then you get to meet with other business owners going through the same challenges and talk about them and support each other. And again, this whole notion of you're never alone. You feel like you're part of a community and a family. And in a way, I'm not answering your question because you asked specifically about the coach, but I think a great coach brings an ecosystem and a way of thinking that when it's done right, extends beyond the individual. And that's and I think in every great relationship there needs to be relationship velocity, meaning a commitment to, like a great marriage. If you think about marriages that last, both people are committed to the same values and growth and support each other even when one is maybe accelerating at a slightly different rate. And you've got a North Star. And I think that's what a great coaching relationship provides as well.
Mike, I want to turn back to the Superpower Accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of a person coming on board, you don't just take anybody off the street. You kind of screen them.
Mm-hmm.
But can you walk us through the process which you take a client to onboard them as part of your community?
Yeah, thank you. And this will be something that'll be super, super helpful or useful for anyone, because I believe a great enrollment process begins with the hero's journey, where you help your prospect, or I like to think of it as a deeper relationship, experience success in advance and visualize with clarity a better life, a positive future for themselves, their families, and their business and their customers and clients. It's playing the long game. So the first thing is, due to the nature of what we do, I only work with business owners and founders, and they're B2B businesses. If they're B2C, I'll look at them, but it's not my favorite area. I don't like selling wide and shallow. I like narrow and deep, meaningful relationships. And the first thing we do is find ways to craft offers that are 2 to 10 times higher than you've had in the past. But the onboarding looks like this. I'd say, Alan, let's pretend and let's assume that you know a little bit about what I do. So you've been pre-framed a little bit. I'd say, Alan, imagine if you and I started working together today, knowing what you know about how I can help you build and grow your business. What if we were to meet 1 or even 3 years from today? What would life look like for you to feel happy or satisfied with your progress? And credit where credit is due, that is a variation of the Dan Sullivan question. But I want you to describe a different life and a better life. And that's really where you open up and say a lot of things. And I take copious notes. I really listen, and I'll ask why questions along the way and get to what we agree is your truth. So that's step 1, is a clarity of a better positive future. And then the next question is, what are the things that are preventing you from experiencing or having that right now? In strategic coach language, they call those the dangers, but it's, whatever's preventing. And then again, you'll come and say, well, it's this and this. I don't have the right who's on my team. Limited budget, haven't been able to, whatever. It's stack. The next question is, so Alan, could you describe what kind of opportunities you feel are out there that you're either not taking advantage of for whatever reasons, or some new things you'd like to do but don't know where to start? Or if you could spend all your time with your best clients in your superpower, what else would you be able to do right now? And that's again where we imagine together. And I might say, what's that costing you to not be able to do it? And what could the benefits be if you did spend your time there? So now from a salesmanship perspective, that provides leverage, but it allows us to put a little fire under their rear end when we get to the conversation about, life is short. Why not spend all your time in the space that gives you the most joy and provides the most value? And then the last question, which is always my favorite, which is, what's your superpower? If you could spend 99% of your time doing what you love to do and what you're best at, that provides the most value to you and the people around you, that literally, as I like to say, gives glory to God, gives glory to your creator, and honors your soul. What is it? Describe it. And between those answers, notice that, yes, it involves the business, but I believe that a great North Star founder injects their DNA into the organization that provides charisma, systems, processes. It attracts great employees and teams, which in turn attracts great customers and clients, which in turn motivates innovation and creativity in an organization. That DNA is injected in an organization and remains for a long time to come when it's done right. And this is a way to get to that.
I love that. I love the onboard process, and also the fact of recognizing the uniqueness of every individual's independent gifts, vision, and you're not afraid to use the word God, for a foundation of life. Beautiful,
yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Yep.
So, Mike, if somebody wants to come on board or reach out to you, say, hey, Mike, I got a great idea. I need somebody like you to coach, mentor me through. How do they go about reaching you?
Wow. Thank you. Wow. I didn't expect that. That's very kind. Well, you can visit my website, which is my name, MikeKoenigs.com/contact. You can send an email to my name. Well, I'll give you two ways, but I'll say MikeKoenigs@gmail. That'll get to me through my assistant. And then we also have a phone number, which is 858-412-0858. And any one of those three works. I've got a great team that'll follow up, and I will respond to you personally. Just say that Alan Olson sent you. That will get everyone's attention and American dreams. If you go by either one, just put that in the subject line, and I'll follow up personally with you. So thank you. I did not expect that, Alan. It's very kind.